Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Austin Dobbins, and I am doing a presentation over equal employment opportunity. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this poster maybe once or twice within your careers. This is one of the posters that is required by law for an organization to have posted somewhere in their building. You usually see it next to a poster that talks about the minimum wage guidelines and other guidelines that are required from an organization by law. I know a lot of organizations typically have this posted in their break room or somewhere in their HR offices. But what is equal employment opportunity? Equal employment opportunity, or EEO, can be defined as employment that is not affected by illegal discrimination. The most common misconception with EEO and what EEO is that it's a law that really only affects prospective employees, and this is really not the case. The reason why people have this misconception is usually when you would see anything talking about equal employment opportunities, if you see this poster posted somewhere in a break room or an HR office, or if you're filling out a job application, usually before you can actually start inputting anything into a job application, it would say this organization is an equal employment opportunity employer. But EEO means equal access to jobs, benefits, and services for all employees and not just prospective employees. The next thing that I want to talk about is how EEO affects organizations and what is required what is required from the organizations by law. Organizations are required by law to make status-blind employment decisions, and based on the text, status-blind decisions are defined as decisions made without regards to an individual's personal characteristics, such as race, gender, disability, and even age. Organizations are also required to use the same type of decision-making when it comes to the employees that are already employed in the organization. So they are required to make status-blind decisions with benefits and training, as well as the status-blind decisions with who should they hire. The next thing that I want to do is talk about the history of equal employment opportunity. The Equal Employment Opportunity Act was passed in 1972, and it was passed as an amendment to Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. The act was used to strengthen the government's policy against discrimination, and since the passing of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, coverage was extended to women, and it goes hand in hand today with Title IX to guarantee that both men and women have the same opportunities within the workforce. Probably the most important change that came from the act was the creation of the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. And the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, is the body that the government created to basically govern and look at cases where EEO was not followed. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is the organization responsible for enforcing the federal laws that make it illegal to discriminate against a job applicant or employee because of a person's race, color, religion, etc. The EEOC has the authority to investigate charges of discrimination against employers who are covered by the law. Basically, the role of the EEOC in an investigation is to fairly investigate and accurately assess the allegations in the charge, and then they make a finding. If they find that discrimination has occurred, they will basically try to settle the charge. And if they aren't successful, they have the authority to file a lawsuit to protect the rights of the individual that made the claim. Basically the people that are covered, or the employers that are covered by the EEOC, are most employers that have at least 15 employees. And in cases where it's age discrimination, they have to have at least 20. Most labor unions and employment agencies are also covered by the EEOC. Just to get a view of what else the EEOC looks at, the EEOC also looks at employee testing. Now, I know a lot of you, to get some of your positions, had to go through certain testing, such as a typing test or a reasoning test, or even like a Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel test. The EEOC also looks at these tests to make sure that they actually play a role in the job performance of employees. And if it doesn't, they will basically require the organization to throw the test out. Next, I want to talk about how EEO is in my organization. I currently work for the Child Support Case Initiation Center. CIC is a contract within the University of Oklahoma. So it's a little weird. I work for CIC, but I also work for the University of Oklahoma. This presentation was kind of ironic because the main topic in one of our team meetings this past week was EEO. And basically management was telling us that they are very conscious of EEO and very conscious of the people that they hire. And they have recently had talks and had different meetings to basically change their talent evaluation process. And their goal was to basically eliminate even the smallest amount of bias in the process. They didn't really go too much into detail, but they did assure us that those changes were being made. And the university as a whole, the university really goes the extra mile to make sure that there's no bias in any of their selection processes for any of their positions. The university even goes as far as having a equal opportunity officer position, and it's dedicated to basically enforcing those standards and making sure that those biases are eliminated. In conclusion, EEO is a very important part of the working world. It's another shining example of how far equality in the United States have come for both men and women of all races and backgrounds and disabilities. EEO basically means equal access to jobs, benefits, and services for all employees and prospective employees in the workplace. EEO is really just a form of protection for job seekers and employees like you and me. If there's one thing that I want you to take from this presentation, I want it to be this. If you feel that you have been denied a job or discriminated against on the job, please contact the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. Obviously contact the HR of the organization first to file a complaint with them. But if you feel that there is really no headway being made on your complaint, contact the EEOC. You have rights even as a prospective employee.